What's up, everybody? So today's January 15th. It's Wednesday. Today's my first day off, so Jackson will be home today. Uh, I want to do a quick video first before he gets here. There's a very important piece to this story that I was going to leave out, but if we're going to do these videos, and we're going to share with everybody our story, and we're going to try to help people, or whatever the point of this is, then we're going to have to be real, and that's what Jackson and I are. So the part of this story I want to share before we go any further is when I was younger, and my wife and my ex-wife and I met. We had a I feel like she would agree with this, that we had a pretty magical relationship for a long, long time. And I had a motorcycle wreck in 2011, and kind of went head on with a pickup truck and broke my hip and dislocated it. And it was a pretty bad injury, but what really hurt through the whole thing was I seen a doctor that, he gives me three different medicines the day I get out of the hospital. I was in the hospital like 5 days. So the day I get out of the hospital, he gives me three medicines. We go to the drugstore, we pick them up. I don't know anything about prescription drugs. Never cared, never needed it, didn't care. So I take a sleeping pill, and I take a muscle relaxer, and I take a killer. The painkiller was Percocet, and it was I was getting 160 pills a month, and it was one of the, it was pretty high dose. So my second day out of the hospital, I overdosed and had to go back to the hospital. So I should have known right then and there I need a new doctor, but I didn't. So he gives me these, and then we cut the dose down, we figure it out, and on the sleeping pills and muscle relaxers, not, of course, on the Percocet. So I started taking this medicine, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and it makes me sick. These Percocet pills make me sick, nauseous. So I go back to the doctor. I say, I can't take these. Give me something else. He says, no, keep taking them. They'll help you get through physical therapy. They're good for you. Never thought twice about it. Now, I don't trust, not that I deal with, but I wouldn't trust a drug dealer on the street. I know what that motherfucker's doing. I know he's trying to hustle and make money for his family or whatever the fuck, clothes or shoes he needs, whatever. I trusted this fucking doctor, like, with my life. And I'm not blaming it all on him because I'm a big boy and I can handle my own problems. But he said, keep taking them. My ex-wife and I talked about it. I got to get through physical therapy. I got to get better. We'll take them, whatever I need to do. After a few months, I start really liking the effects. I'm not getting sick anymore. I feel like Superman. There's no other way to explain it. I would take one of those and a 5-hour energy drink, and I'll fight the whole war by myself. Get out of my way. So there was no problems at first, the first year and a half. And then slowly things start happening. And I don't know my ex-wife's perspective of this. I believe in three sides to every story. There's my side, your side, and what really happened. And all of them are the truth, depending on your perspective. So I take this, these pills. After about a year and a half, 4 of them a day, 5 of them a day sometimes, whatever my prescription was. 30 days, every 30 days I got 160. And on the 30th day, I was running out. So after about a year and a half, they start taking things, and things start happening. And not so much everybody noticed, but like my ex-wife, of course, she noticed the change in me. And then after about 2.5 years, it's noticeable. And I remember one time we were in Florida, a family vacation, and it was for her birthday. And, you ever have one of those times in your life when it haunts you almost every day, where you wish you can just go back and change something about that day. So we're in Florida. Her brother and my son and I go to a motorcycle store, and we're looking around, and then we get on the phone and we call them, and they say, let's meet somewhere halfway so nobody has to go out of the way and we save some time. No problem. I say, get my medicine. I still call it medicine like a dumbass, you know. It's not fucking medicine. You don't need medicine for that long. So we meet, and I say, do you have those? And she looks at me and she says, no, like I couldn't find them, and we were in a hurry. So we were at a Chick-fil-A, and I freaked out. Like I freaked out. I yelled at her, and I didn't yell at my wife. Like that's not who I was. And I just see like the hurt in her face. Like I didn't see it then as much as I look back now and see that she was like, this is not you. Who the fuck do you think you're talking to like that? Look, you know. And that is the first time she looked me right in the eye, you know, and she goes, you need to get rid of these pills. They're becoming a problem. You told me if they become a problem, let you know. Because by this point I knew I didn't need them anymore. They were just for my benefit. Now that doesn't change the fact that I go to the doctor the first of every month and he would ask me about the football game and blah, 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 and hand me my prescription. He knew my hip was okay. He didn't even need to ask about that. So, you know, we get through the vacation, and it was one of those things I kind of just wanted to forget about, that she even asked me to put those away. And I said, I got this under control, you know, whatever. Doesn't really work that way, but when you're going through it, you don't see the downward spiral you're on sometimes. Everybody around you can see it, but for whatever reason, you sometimes completely miss it. And when people point it out to you, it just kind of pisses you off. You know, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, right? Everybody around me knew what they were talking about, and I was going downhill fast. So the next thing they kind of took from me was my ability to be happy. And I just wasn't happy no matter what I did. Now, once I took that, you know, the medicine, right? So once I took that, I'd feel good for a while. But of course, the effects doesn't last long as it used to. So my ex-wife turned into my focal point when I started going downhill. Like, I needed her for, no matter what I did, I needed her to make me feel happy. And I became completely obsessed with her. And anything that came between her and I, even my own kids, you know, it started to turn into hate. Like, it started to fill me up with hate. And she was the only thing that was my escape from that. I don't think she knows what that was like going through that. And I don't expect her to even give a shit, because I don't have any idea what it was like for her to watch the man that was supposed to protect her and love her and take care of her completely fall apart and become dependent on something and trade those for his family. I would imagine that's very, very difficult to watch and be a part of. So I hope she knows that I'm sorry more than words will ever. It don't matter. So one day I wake up and I tell her that I can tell she's miserable. You know, we'd been fighting a little bit. We never used to fight that often, so it was really difficult for us, or me. I don't know. I don't want to speak for her at all. But it was very difficult for me because we would fight, and this went on for maybe about 6 months before I finally looked at her one day and we talked about it for real, and she said, I don't want you here right now. You're not the person I married, and you're You're not the same guy you were a year ago or 2 years ago or before your motorcycle wreck. So I can't be around you. You know that horrible line that guys hear, or even women probably hear. I love you, but I'm not in love with you, right? Some people might be there right now, and when you hear that line, you are in big trouble with your relationship. Because I don't know exactly how women feel. Like, I did a lot of research about women's emotions and how they deal with things because of what she was going through at the first split up. I wanted her to come home so bad that I was reading everything I could read to manipulate her not coming home, you know, and that wasn't right of me either. But I did this where she wanted me to leave, so I left, and I threw these Percocet pills right in the trash. And I went to Brazil, South America for work. And I went through withdrawals down there for a week. And it was horrible. I mean, it was the sickest I've ever been in my entire life. Like throwing up and stomach hurting and cramping and can't sleep and waking up in the middle of the night if you did fall asleep, sweating and screaming, and it was horrible. It was very, very painful. And plus I'm, in a whole other country alone. And it was the hardest week of my entire life. So I come back, I think, okay, I'm still sick, I'm still kind of going through withdrawals, I'm still shaky, but they're gone. And I'm never taking another one again. I go to my doctor and I tell him, I'm like, you fucked my whole life up, dude. My wife's leaving over this, like you destroyed my life and I hate your fucking guts. So don't ever set another appointment for me. And I walked the fuck out of his office. I don't know if anybody even knows I did that, but besides me and him. Like, I didn't have an appointment that day or nothing. I just went in there. I was pissed. Because after throwing those pills away, it's not just the first couple of weeks of getting through it. Now is when the real work starts. And this is when you find out who cares about you, who's ready to be there for you. Because I didn't have very many people left at the end of it. So, everything for me, I don't know how this is for everybody going through something like this, but everything for me turned into hate and anger. That's the only thing I could feel. And then pain and panic, knowing that this is for real and my relationship's probably over, my marriage and everything that comes along with that, all the fears. And anybody that's going through it right now understands what I'm talking about. It is scary. And when you have no control over it, because it's not your choice, there's no pain in the world. Look, I broke 2 hips. I've had a broken tailbone. I've been through a lot of physical pain, and nothing compares to watching the person you love walk away, or watching the person you love tell you that they don't want you there anymore. So, very difficult for me. We tried to put things together, of course, for about 6 months. It was a waste. And our anniversary was December 31st. This was 2015, December 31st. So we spent that evening together, and it wasn't. I mean, she spent the night on the phone texting with her friend, and the next morning she gets up and she says, "This is over. I'm not coming back home, and I don't want you to talk to me about anything but the kids anymore." I lost it. Like, I completely lost my mind for a long time after that. I did my very best to leave her alone, but of course that was no point even trying that, because I literally texted her probably 1,000 times a day and called her at least 20. To the point, I pushed her so far away, I mean, I imagine she hates my guts. We don't even speak anymore. Like, I don't even know her phone number, which is, it's okay. So at some point along the way, 4 or 5 months later, she decides, I don't want you contacting me. I don't want you talking to me. And she blocks me. So we have barely spoke since then, which is the best thing she's ever done for me. Even when we were married, even the relationship we had together, the very best thing that woman has ever done for me, and she's a good woman. I don't want to take anything away from her. Was breaking contact because it gave me a chance to really fall apart and hit the bottom. And you can't go anywhere in a situation like this, or at least where I was, my perspective. I couldn't go anywhere until I did that. So, along that year, I had a failed suicide attempt, actually a couple of them, but this one was real. Like, I left work one morning about 10:30, and I felt horrible, and I just couldn't take it anymore. So I go home, I start my daughter's truck in the garage, and I write letters to my kids. And the next thing I know, my neighbor's waking me up, and the carbon monoxide detectors in the house were going off, and it was over. Thank God that she found me, and my neighbor lived across the street. She saved my life, no question. So then, I got through some of that and decided, at that point, after you do something like that, you decide it's either time to die or it's time to get better. So I really started focusing on getting better, but of course, my mind's still really messed up from getting off of these drugs. And even though it's been a year, it's still really hard for me mentally and emotionally. And so I started really working on getting better. And as time went on, it got easier and easier to keep trying to get better. Beginning of 2017 was an important year for me. It's when I bought my house. Some other things happened we'll go over later, but I had to share this addiction I had and the way I had to overcome it. Because while I'm fighting the withdrawals and the dealing with the addiction for a long time after, I was also losing my family, and that's kind of why I had to share that part, because what Jackson and I talk about and what we're going to go through, what we're going to share with everybody, that's a very big factor. Anybody that doesn't know much about prescription drugs, if your doctor's trying to give you a narcotic, tell that motherfucker no. Like, if they don't have a plan to only, I don't give a shit what surgery you go through or what you go through. If you have an addictive personality like I do, tell that motherfucker no. All right. Jackson should be home any minute, so we'll see what his video looks like, and we'll go on from here.